Okay, hey, welcome everybody. Rob here for today's call. I got a bunch of notes for you today. I want to talk to you today about the entrepreneur triad of power. That just sounded ridiculous, and I went to my thesaurus and started looking up words, and I had three things I wanted to share, and so I thought I'd call it the triad of power to make it more interesting to you. It's three things that you need in balance to grow and prosper. And as ridiculous as the title is, it's good. These three things are really, really important. And you're going to find holes, perhaps in your entrepreneurship, in one or more of these three things. And hopefully that will spur you to taking a little bit of a deeper look to what needs to change or be adjusted in one or more of these three things. Okay, so I am going to dive in. I'm going to share my screen with you because we're going to go to the trusty whiteboard today, and I'm going to share with you the triad. Let me move the camera. You can still hopefully see me, but I need to have the whiteboard down so that I can share these things. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast this morning that a buddy of mine does, Alex Hormozy. Some of you may have seen him evidently come on the scene, but he's been on the scene for a long time, but he's gotten really hot in the entrepreneurship space. He has a great podcast called The Game. I highly recommend it to you. It's very, very good. He's a really, really smart dude. Met him originally in Russell Brunson's mastermind in the very early days of Gym Launch. In fact, it was before Gym Launch even existed. And he was kind of putting together the ideas for Gym Launch. And so I don't know how many years ago this was, maybe 6 or 7 years ago or so. And I was listening to the podcast and he talked about three things that entrepreneurs need in balance, kind of like two legs of a ladder and the rungs, all three of these things. And I thought, number one, I'd want to share those with you, but truth be told, you can just listen to the podcast for yourself and probably get more out of it if only I shared the three things. What I wanted to do, and something that Alex didn't do, is I wanted to go into depth with you on each of these three things. And I thought about them for myself. I thought about them for entrepreneurs in a general sense. And so I want to maybe highlight it a little bit more. If you want to go to The Game, you can listen to Alex's podcast episode. It's short. It's maybe 11 minutes long. And he shares about these three things that I affectionately call the triad of power. He did not call them that. And I'm going to go into depth in each one of these three things. Okay, so let's write triad of power for entrepreneurs right at the top. And then let's talk about what these three things are. And of course, I want some type of diagram. So these three things are your beliefs, your skills, and your character. Your beliefs, your skills, and your character. Perhaps one has more importance than another, but probably not when it comes to entrepreneurship. Each are important in their own way. And you need, maybe not to have a strong character in every facet imaginable. You don't need perhaps to have believe everything necessary. And you certainly don't need to have every single skill imaginable to be a great entrepreneur, but you need a great mix of the proper beliefs, the proper skills, and the proper character traits to grow a business to whatever level you desire to grow it. Perhaps your business is exactly where you want it to be today. And if that's the case, then you probably have a great match of belief, skills, and character. But if you want to go to another level in your business, then something's going to have to change in each one of these three areas, because you're not the entrepreneur that you need to be to go to the next level right now. Maybe that's true in your skills. Maybe that's true in your character. Maybe that's true in your beliefs. Maybe it's true in all three of these areas. So again, as I shared, Alex talked about these three things briefly, shared a couple of stories, which was cool. I want to go a little bit deeper in each one of these three things because I thought about them individually. I thought about what they mean for me, and I thought about what they might mean for you. It's great to hear that we need the right beliefs, the right skills, the right character, but how do you know what skills you need or you should go after? Skills are easy to come by. They really are. You can buy a course. If you want to learn PR and media, you can go to Udemy and buy a fantastic course on PR and media for less than $20. And in fact, you could buy 5 courses to cover about every aspect of PR and media to learn the skills necessary to get PR and media for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to start a great PR firm or media company unless you have the proper beliefs and character. So in one sense, some of these are easy to come by. Some of them we come by naturally, and some we can write a very small check to get. The question is, well, which ones do we go after? And how do we know if maybe we have holes in certain areas that we need to pay attention to? So let's talk about each one of these things one by one. And I'll share with you what my thoughts are. And by all means, ask questions, share what your thoughts are about these three things as well. So again, they are belief, skills, and character. I'm going to put those off to the side, and then we're going to cover each one of them separately. Belief, skills, and character. Okay, so let's start with the very first one. Let's talk for a moment about beliefs. So entrepreneurs are an interesting breed because in many cases, we have a number of beliefs about ourselves, about our abilities, about our skills that get us going. But what I thought about for myself and what I thought about maybe for entrepreneurs in general is, what are the beliefs maybe that we need to overcome that perhaps we're not even aware of, that we are believing, or that maybe we struggle with? What are those things, those challenging beliefs that we have that are not serving us, that we need to change our beliefs on? So I thought of 4. Thought there were several more, and I looked up a bunch, but I thought of 4 in particular that in my particular space I see a lot with authors and experts, coaches, consultants, etc. So what are those? Well, number 1 that I saw was the I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Now, I'm not saying that all authors or coaches or consultants or entrepreneurs believe this about themselves in every way. But what I have seen is I have seen many entrepreneurs, and I see this within myself, where they feel like they're not good enough in a certain area of their expertise or their business. This may also be called imposter syndrome. And so because of that, actions aren't taken, skills aren't developed, and character is kind of pushed to the side because we just don't believe initially, I don't really know that I'm good enough yet. Maybe there's a yet in there to take the next steps in my journey, in my bank account, in my goal setting, etc. That's number 1. Number 2 is it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Now, the first thing that may come to your mind is your book. I see this a lot with authors, and this is an issue with perfectionism. It's just not good enough. My book isn't complete. I've had people read it. They don't like it. I asked my family to look at it. They don't think that it's ready. Look, I understand, and maybe it's not. But the worst thing that you can do is have people that aren't in your niche or your expertise or aren't your potential clients ever look at anything that you do and then give you feedback on it, because you shouldn't be listening to that feedback. You should only be listening to the feedback of the people that are going to be buying from you, and that is your marketplace. I don't remember if I shared this last week or if I shared it in another group or what. I may have talked about it last week, but if you've ever read Grant Cardone's book 10X, then you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Grant has talked about how he's written that book very quickly. He wrote it in like 12 hours or something. And honestly, if you read the book, you go, okay, yeah, it does feel a little like he wrote it in 12 hours. But you know what? His entire brand, and he's a billionaire, his entire brand from an entrepreneurship perspective, I mean, even real estate investing is built off this idea of 10X. It is not the most amazingly written book in the world. Perhaps there are many editing and grammar and punctuation issues that any one of us would change. But he never had this issue of it's not good enough. He put it out there, and in many ways, it put him on the map. He didn't have that belief issue to deal with. Number 3, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. These are belief issues. What is that? Well, that is procrastination. And procrastination can also be fear of success. I always thought that was weird. Who would be afraid of success, right? Who would be afraid of reaching their goals and achieving their dreams? And the truth is, anybody that procrastinates might have that within them. The thinking that, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to take the next step. Now, if you're not ready because you don't want to do something, fine. That's great. Then if you don't want to do it, then you don't need to do it. But if it's something that you want for yourself or your family, it's a goal that you have, and you keep telling yourself you're not ready, well, you're procrastinating. You're making excuses. And that is a belief issue that you need to deal with. Number 4, and this is the last one of the beliefs but there are dozens more, is there isn't enough. There isn't enough. What is this? This is scarcity. I tell this story about the first book that I wrote called Life After Debt. And people say to me, wow, that's a great title. I love the play on words. And, did you do any research on that? I go, I never did. But later I did research. You know what I found out? There were 6 other books with the exact same title on Amazon called Life After Debt. I had no idea. If I would have done research, I would have thought, well, I can't have that title because look at all of these other people that have had the title long before me. Now, they didn't have any type of trademark on it or anything like that. I'm not talking about infringing on somebody's trademark, but I didn't have a scarcity mindset. I didn't even consider it. Thank goodness I didn't consider it, because if I would have considered it and may have done some research, I might have thought, well, there's just not enough to go around, and I need to change the title of my book. Having that scarcity mentality that might stop you from going into a certain market or doing something because you think, well, I just can't compete. I'm not good enough. There isn't enough for everybody, etc. These are beliefs that you have to deal with, right? This is one rung of the ladder. This is one part of the triad. But if you have something like this that is stopping you, it doesn't matter if you have the right character. It doesn't matter if you have the right skills. You're not going to grow as an entrepreneur, because any one of these things could stop you. So take a moment and consider, maybe I have the skills, maybe I have the character, but what's holding me back is one of these false beliefs within my business. So think about that for a moment. Let's go to number 2, which is skills. Let's talk about skills for just a moment. Skills. So I mentioned before, in some ways, skills are really easy. It's fairly simple and inexpensive for you to learn almost any kind of skill you want. In fact, if you wanted to just go to YouTube and just type in what it is that you're looking to learn, the amount of free information is enormous. The amount of low-cost information, enormous. You can grow your skills in just about any way you wish. So what skills should you grow? Okay. That's the question I asked myself when Alex shared about this triad of belief, skills, and character. I thought, well, how do people actually choose which skills they should focus on? Well, I talk about my 3 E's of making decisions about your business and about your life. The 3 E's are how you choose which skills to go after. What are the 3 E's? Well, they are picking something that you excel at, picking something that you enjoy, and picking something that earns the most money. These are the 3 E's. And guess what? When you find where those 3 E's come together, you find the skills that you need to be focused on. Don't focus on something you don't enjoy. That seems obvious. Don't focus on something where on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 2 at, because yeah, maybe you could go from a 2 to a 6, which is fantastic, but you could probably just pay someone that's a 7 or an 8 rather than worrying about getting your skills up from a 2 to a 6. Focus on something you're already excellent at, grow skills in that area, especially if you enjoy it. And then guess what? Make sure that you're making money, that is a skill that you can really make money at, and charge for your expertise. This is how you choose. You choose this way, and you should continue to choose this way. So I've been thinking about this a lot in my own business with bestseller publishing. And I've shared with you that I do the 3 E's for myself in a business sense on a fairly regular basis, because I'm a shiny object person. I see something and I like that. And you know, I'm a big mouth bass, and a shiner goes by and I want to chase it, and it hooks me. And then before you know it, I'm, you know, in someone's boat and being cooked up in a frying pan. I try to stay away from that. And I do that by using the 3 E's. So I think about, okay, 80-20 rule. What are the things within my business that I really enjoy, that I'm really excellent at, that nobody else can do, and that earns my company the most money? So I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've been thinking about it in regards to things like customer acquisition, sales, marketing, etc. I'm pretty good at marketing, and we bring in a load of qualified prospects and leads through my books, through our various funnels, through videos that I do, through challenges, through webinars, through et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, something that I have avoided doing is, once I passed on the sales mantle, you know, I don't do sales calls. When a strategy session call's had, it's David or it's Austin or it's Joe or et cetera, et cetera. And so I thought, you know, I've really, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it anyway. I've really neglected that part of my business, and I've developed this propensity to drive as many leads as our company needs and more, but I haven't focused the attention that I need to focus on this enormous part of my business of actually bringing those prospects all the way through into becoming a client through that sales piece. I've just thought, well, I'll just load up the sales guys. And so I've been focused more on that, because that is a skill, right? Running a sales team. And I'm not looking for another job within bestseller publishing, but running a sales team effectively, efficiently, where they do well, where we bring on great clients, where the company does well, that's a skill. And that's a skill that I needed to learn, that I haven't wanted to spend time, energy, money, effort on. And so over the last few months, I have made a decision, and I have changed that. I've spent a significant amount of money and training and focus, and we meet 4 times a week now, whereas we didn't meet at all. And now there's all kinds of accountability, and there's training that they're going through, and I'm going through it with them. Why? It's a big knob to turn in my business. It's a skill that, okay, maybe I haven't enjoyed it all that much, but I'm excellent at it. It's a big knob, a big earning knob for the business. And you know what? I am enjoying it more and more as I do it. I'm finding that it's not taking all that much time. It's a skill that was necessary within the company. So you need to make a decision. What are the skills that I need, that I'm things that I'm already excellent at, things that I enjoy, things that really earn money for the company. And, you know, one may be more weighted than another, depending on where you're at in your business, right? That's okay. You have to do what you have to do. If earning is more of the focus of your business right now, then you got to go with where it's weighted there. If you have all the money you need and you want to focus more on enjoyment, great. But always try to pick your skills using this mentality. I call it the 3 E's. Okay, great. Last but not least, character. Character is an interesting one. You know, we all, as entrepreneurs, and you're successful entrepreneurs, you're my clients, you're already successful in the businesses that you have. But that doesn't mean that, even with the success that we have, doesn't mean that our characters are built out in all the ways that, you know, maybe they should be, especially to reach our goals and our dreams and our ambitions within this triad. So I picked 3. You know, there are many, many character traits. I picked 3 that are of utmost importance to me when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. You can add to this, and you can chime in the chat, ask questions, add the ones that you would add to that. Great. These are the 3 that I've noticed in my own business and in other people's business that make all the difference in growth. Number 1 is decisiveness. Decisiveness. You know, I find that successful entrepreneurs are very decisive. They make decisions fast. I think it was Patton that said, a good plan violently executed today is far better than an excellent plan executed next week. Decisiveness, making a decision, having a good plan, and then going for it with strength and determination makes a big, big difference. I find that the people that are least decisive, indecisive, tend not to do as well in business and entrepreneurship. And you probably see that as well. Number 2 is a big one, and it's persistence. Persistence. Wow, is persistence big, right? It takes persistence to get your book completed. It takes persistence to figure out the skills needed to build a funnel and to learn marketing and to attract clients into that, to learn paid advertising if you want to. If you want to grow on social media, it takes persistence. Because guess what? You may do your first 100 podcasts and only a few hundred people listen to it, but it may be your 160th podcast that finally hits. It takes persistence to get to the 160th podcast. The same is true with any videos that you put on YouTube. The same is true with anything you put on Facebook or Instagram. It takes persistence and consistency. And that is a character trait. You know, it takes no skill to be persistent, right? It just takes the determination to do it day in and day out, and as often as necessary. So decisiveness, persistence, and number 3 is, for me, is focus. 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 Somebody is chatting, so maybe just mute yourself just in case. Focus. You know, in entrepreneurship, I told you before, I'm kind of a shiny object person. I can lack focus. And that is a character trait that doesn't bode well when it comes to growing your business and going to the next level. So that's something that I have to focus on, is my focus, is being like, when it's time to do something, that is what I'm doing, and I'm persistent and I'm decisive with it. These are 3 that I chose. You could choose whichever 3 you feel like you need to get to the next level. These are 3 that I've seen in a very general sense. So going back to our original thought, we have this triad of entrepreneurship, and the triad itself is belief, skills, and character. And there has to be a balance of these things. We have to find what it is within us. If we have the skills and the character and we're still not where we want to be, you have a belief issue. If you believe and you have the character and you're working at stuff and it's not going where you want it to go, there's a skills issue. And you need to figure out what are the skills that you need to take your business to the next level. And then the same is true with character. Perhaps you just haven't done it enough to really get the traction that you need to grow your business. Perhaps you just need to get to the 161st podcast episode before it really takes off. And you need to think in terms of that thing being successful in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, rather than 2, 3, or 5 weeks. Okay. So there you go. There is the triad of power.